Hey guys, J77 here doing a flashback review. The first one I'm doing in my favorite cafe. Probably one of the reasons is it's a nice relaxing day today. Despite our early thunderstorm that we had that woke everybody up in New York, it turned out to be a nice peaceful day. And being to the fact that I spend almost 2.5 hours besides typing, watching some of the before Batman animated movies that was referred to my friends and Spill.com for that matter. Got to give a shout out to those guys. I decided to continue my flashback review here before watching the latest Avengers movies. And the movie I'm going to be talking about is based on the same two characters as in the Avengers. This was not their first time having a crossover, and that is The Incredible Hulk Returns, starring Bill Bixby and Louis Ferrigno. I'm not going to get too much into details about this movie, with the exception of I have saw this film at a young age. I was a big time Incredible Hulk fan. More so than I was with the Batman fan, because Batman with the Adam West was my mom's, who got me into it, but the Incredible Hulk was all mine. When that show came on, I watched every single episode. Every time I come home from school before homework is done, Incredible Hulk was my main priority, and I loved every last episode of the Incredible Hulk. I grew up with it. I enjoyed it. I was very happy with it. I loved the actors, and I loved the premise. Over the years, I got to realize just how flawed the show was, but it was still fun to watch. It was still entertaining to watch, and I also understand a little bit of the history of the show. Keep in mind, when I got into comic books, my major comic book heroes were Superman, Batman, the Incredible Hulk, and even Spider-Man. Even though Spider-Man I was off and on because I really never followed, because I was more into those guys. The only other show I actually followed faithfully was the comic book, was the Superhero Hour that used to be on Channel 4, NBC, and that was when they had the Incredible Hulk as his own show, and then you had Iceman, Spider-Man, and Firestarter on the other half, and I watched that until they finally took that off the air. For this one, this movie was the first of three, because they made 3 Incredible Hulk films, made for TV, by the way. And I couldn't wait to see it, because the Incredible Hulk just stopped. And one of the reasons why I did a little history on it, I didn't know that NBC had other comic book shows they had. They had, like, I think Doctor Strange at one time, and you also had Spider-Man at another time. And they started canceling out the shows, not because they didn't get ratings, it was because they didn't want to be known as a superhero program. So they started canceling out these shows, but kept the Incredible Hulk for an additional year before finally that went caboose. So seeing the Incredible Hulk back in its full form was very, very special to me, and I made it my business to watch that movie. Basically, the gist of it is it's been 2 years since Bill Bixby, David Banner, has Hulk out. He's now living with his fiance and is working under a alias name in his special lab. He has built this machine that is successful, could finally rid him of the demons that dwell with him, or can kill him. Either way, he was going to go through with it and end his reign once and for all as the Incredible Hulk. Apparently, things did not go the way he planned. He gets visited by a person named Donald Blake, who knew who he was but didn't know why he faked his death. They started talking, and he started telling what he's been doing and how he came across with the hammer of Thor. Says a few names, and next thing you know, Thor was there. Of course, I'm calling Bill Bixby. Their band didn't believe him. He basically challenged that, and in the end, he had to be proven by Blake holding the hammer up and calling his name, which Thor actually appeared, and that's when things start going wrong. He started tearing up the place, accidentally knocked David into some electrical wires, executing him, and then you had the Hulk. As a kid, I was pumped up seeing the Hulk fight Thor, even though I didn't know who Thor was until that movie. and in the end, it made the climax. The film started to change. Hulk was now back on the spotlight. Oh, not as strong as it was in the TV series, but it did bring back an old person who was hunting him and was continuing to hunt him, and he came back to find where he was, the location where he believed the Hulk was. Things are not also going good in the office because he's finding out that there's another plan to steal the machine, and by trying to steal the machine, they first try to kidnap David Banner, which failed miserably, and then they've kidnapped David Banner's fiance, which they hold for ransom. Of course, we have a few instances when Hulk finally hulks out, and during that time, you also have scenes where Hulk and Thor was teaming up. In the end, things worked well. Hulk saved the girl. Thor was being Thor, and it left us with pretty much a sad piano following in the background where Hulk was walking on the B set, not to look back, even though his fiance pretty much knew why and didn't stop him. That's as brief I'm gonna give it to you guys because frankly, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad I want to really touch on. First, the good. I was happy to see the Hulk back as a kid. It was my show. I grew up with the show. I was enjoying every minute of it. Does it have staying power now? Sadly, no. And the reason why is, when you're a kid, you don't look at all the flaws that you are. You just enjoy your favorite superheroes for what they're worth. And that was cool. That's the way it's supposed to be. You know, kids don't question the technological babble that what made our superheroes all today. If they did, they would get bored and don't want to be interested. So it gave me enough to enjoy myself. I saw my hero in the screen. I was introduced to a new hero, which is Thor, which I actually read some of the comic books. I was actually into the Thor comics right up until the point where they actually banished him and had this new Thor, which I did not care for, so I left it alone. I enjoyed the actors, how they acted in the film. It was pretty good. I actually thought it was great. For the most part, the story, although cheesy, was quite interesting. I actually enjoyed it. This is where the problem comes in, and as I got older, I noticed it more. In the comic books, and I'm pretty much going by the comic because this is where I realized just how cheaply made the film was. In the comic book, Hulk gains his power by being angry. The angrier he gets, the more powerful he is, and basically he's almost indestructible. Thor. He is a god. He is a very powerful god. He is an almighty god. And in the movie, they really didn't show that. I mean, in one scene where they're carrying his fiancée into a helicopter, you have Hulk and Thor holding on to the helicopter. They're trying to bring it down. And yet, when you see it now, you say, wait a minute, these guys are two powerful foes. They should easily just take that thing down with just one pull, and that's it. But apparently, that didn't happen. They were just hanging on to the helicopter, and then they just dropped down, which makes no sense whatsoever. There's also scenes where you didn't feel the Hulk was immortal, indestructible. You felt he was more too human. And that's been the problem with a lot of people. They felt they made him too human and not just indestructible. Mind you, you still had that era where they didn't take comic books seriously, so that actually hurt the situation. Making comic book movies back then was a lot different back now. Many people either didn't have respect for the resource that was given, or just simply didn't care. But for this movie, I was actually surprised when I watch it now that yeah, they didn't make these guys into the best of heroes. The fight scenes when you see it again as a kid, it's like, okay, these guys are just going through the motion. It's really nothing really special. They're tearing up, you know, computer boards and just basically pushing each other, throwing each other side to side. There's really no epicness to it as if anybody who was growing up from the late 90s now and never saw the Hulk film, I mean, just coming in to see it, they're not gonna like it. Those who grew up in the 80s, you're gonna like it probably even more because you grew up watching that show and you're used to seeing that show. But for those who was in the 90s, late 90s to now, they're gonna bash this movie. And the ending, It was alright. I thought it was okay. It was pretty serviceable. I actually enjoyed it. It was this kind of ending that I come to respect. But again, I wish they didn't give us too much of it when they had the flashback that they were about to have with that dream. Because if you notice, you look back then, they actually give you a clip from the ending, which they didn't need to do. But that's the movies for you. I will say this: it is a poorly made movie for the terms of the quality, the budget. I'm not gonna sit here and deny that, but it's still my guilty pleasure. I still like it for what it was. As a kid, I lived for the moment of watching the Hulk. I enjoyed watching the Hulk. This is the same way people even enjoy watching Spider-Man. Spider-Man was not that hated, guys. People think that Spider-Man was horrible, but people actually did enjoy Spider-Man the same way my mom and I enjoyed the Adam West Batman series. They were fun, wholesome entertainment that fill us up for a whole hour of enjoyment. So I can't knock it. I still do. And the movies are is no different. Did I wish they could have done the heroes better? Oh yeah, I think they should have done the heroes better. But you know, you get what you pay for when you see these things, and you didn't pay much because it was on free TV. So can't really complain too much. I didn't spend $7 to watch this movie. It was on television. I watched it. I enjoyed it, and I still enjoy it in many ways. Even though it is cheaply made and some of the stuff doesn't make any sense, and they really didn't treat the heroes as well as the comic book has described them, I still enjoyed it. The one thing I noticed a lot about this film, though, and I didn't realize until I really dove into this character, because keep in mind, I was not a Thor fan. I didn't know who Thor was, and it wasn't until I saw this movie where I said, okay, let me see what Thor is in the comic books. And when I saw Thor's comic, I read a little bit. I was kind of intrigued. Many people hated the Thor character, not the person who played the Thor, because overall they thought his acting was not bad. It was actually pretty good, serviceable. But they completely rewritten his origin. From what I understand, this origin was that Donald Blake and Thor was one, and that he didn't realize he was a god that was banished. If I'm wrong on that, please put it in the comment section. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts. Do correct me on it, because like I said, I'm not that deep into the Thor's character as I should be. But like I said, I had a few superheroes I followed when I was a kid. I still have a few superheroes that I follow to this day. But many people did not like that, and many people felt that they completely missed the point of that character, and they grew to hate that character over the years. I, for one, again, I didn't follow him, so I didn't notice it until people brought it to my attention why they hate that character so much. They didn't have a problem with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. I think they pretty much established that they were the Hulk of that time, and some people still consider them the Hulk of now, even though I think Edward Norton has pretty much gained a lot of respect from comic book fans and non-fans alike for his portrayal of the Hulk. That is until I see what the Avengers are going to be doing with that character. I'm kind of curious how they play it off. But in any case, if I'm giving a rating now, I did love this movie. But if I give it a rating now, I'm going to have to give it not bad, but could have been better, 2.5 stars. And it's getting 2.5 stars for one reason. This is still my guilty pleasure film. It is a film that I will not mind popping in every now and then and watch and enjoy for what it's worth. It is not a terrible imitation. It is a film that you can get enjoyment out of it for nostalgia reasons. If you're a diehard fan of the Hulk and Thor, you are a purist especially, you will hate this film on the grounds that this is not your Hulk. This is not what you envisioned the Hulk. And that's okay, because I know a lot of people who are not big fans of the 3 Incredible Hulk films that came out, especially the second one, and now we'll talk to that at a later date, a very, very later date. But needless to say, this film, yeah, I recognize this is the flaws and the quirkiness of it, but to me, it's still my guilty pleasure film. And for this work, it did give me some good times, and I'll still watch it again. Well, that's it for this special flashback review, if you want to call it. I'll probably do my other flashback videos not in this setting, but back where I'm at. But until then, you guys, you take care and be safe.